This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
This is the Stone Zone with Roger Stone.
People love him and respect him. Roger Stone.
Now, get in the zone. It's the Stone Zone. Here's Roger Stone.
And I'm Jake Novak filling in for Roger Stone here on this Tuesday evening, last day of March. I have a breaking story, an exclusive story for you coming up about 15 minutes after the hour. I mean, we're like 20 minutes after the hour. We're going to talk to an Iraqi general who was one of our big allies in the Persian Gulf War, and he's going to have a very interesting update on this American journalist. Her name is Shelley Kittleson. Last we heard, she was kidnapped today by a pro-Hezbollah group in Iraq, and this is a developing story, a breaking story. You're only going to hear it here, so stay tuned for that about 20 minutes after the hour. But I want to talk to you first about a little bit. I'm going to pull the curtain from a little bit in this business. I've been in the television and radio news business for 32 years. And I want you all to imagine just for a second that you are the news director, the head honcho, the person who really makes the decisions for a TV news station or a radio news station coming into work this morning. You had two choices in front of you. You had, again, let's pretend it's TV. You had spectacular, confirmed, incredibly engaging video of the U.S. blowing the hell out of Isfahan, these underground missile caches, massive explosions. You could tell that the bombs were hitting them, and then the bombs were setting off the missiles inside. The biggest explosions we've seen of this war, and we've seen a lot of big explosions. As they used to say on SCTV on that show, The Great White North, it blowed up real good. It blowed up real good. It was really good video, and it was strategically very important. This was a major blow to the Iranian missile arsenal. Yes, they still have some left. But it was also, as my friend Matt Tardio, who's a former Green Beret, informed me, and then he did it on his own social media account, they also took out one of the most important long missile launching sites. And it isn't, when you think of a missile launcher, it's not just like one launcher. It's an entire base of launchers. And a very long stretch of the missile launchers were destroyed. This is a big story. Now, if you're not a cheerleader for Donald Trump or you don't want to be accused of that, I can understand. You want to just basically say, this is clearly a major attack. It's clearly a major hit. You can be very, very conservative about it, but you can tell your audience, look at this incredible explosion. There are some military experts who are not partisan telling us this is a significant strategic win for the United States right now. Just doesn't mean the war's over. None of that. Not saying any of those things. So that was choice A. You could have led with that. And remember, TV is a visual medium. And by the way, if you wanted to do it on radio, there was plenty of great audio of those bombs exploding, which is not as engaging, I understand, as watching big fireballs blowing up in the sky. But it's pretty engaging. So that was choice A. Your second choice was to go with the story that was reported by one source that President Trump said something to somebody else about maybe ending the war in the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, how many times is the news media going to report on Trump saying something, and it turns out he either didn't say it or he meant it in a larger context, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we've been dealing with this for 11 years now, and no one seems to learn it. But let's say it really was something that you wanted to report real bad. That's what you're going to choose over bombs exploding, massive explosions? I would tell you about this big explosion and this major deal and major blow dealt to the Iranian military. But first, there's an unconfirmed report that President Trump said to somebody else. I mean, who does that interest? These people in the mainstream news media aren't just losing because of partisanship. They're not just losing because they're in a New York, D.C. bubble. They're not just losing because they want to be negative all the time. They're losing because they're bad at their jobs. Just to make things clear to you, staying truthful is something that we have to do. But other than that, our job is to get your attention. I'm trying to get your attention right now by telling you about this. That's how we get paid in this business. We need to show advertisers that a lot of people are listening to me. We need to show advertisers when I was in TV that a lot of people are watching me. Then I need to show them that they're watching even longer than they're watching other programs or listening to other programs. That's how we make a buck in this business. And it is a business, by the way. But you wouldn't know it. This is a for-profit business that the content of which is mostly run by people who don't think for profit. And you might think, well, that's great. They're just trying to be really, really smart and decent, and sometimes the most important stories aren't going to get as many clicks and viewers. Baloney. That means you failed. If it's truly an important story, if it's truly the truth, if it's truly getting down to what we really need to know about, and you don't know how to make that exciting and interesting and getting people to listen to, then you have failed. But I wish that were the biggest failure. That's not their biggest failure. If their only failure was, gee, there's this major problem with the sewer and everyone's going to die in the city and I don't know how to make that exciting, that's not their biggest problem. The biggest problem is they don't know what the great stories are. President Trump allegedly saying something is not a story anymore. He says a bunch of things all the time. He is the most accountable president we've ever had because he's so upfront about all the stuff that he says all the time. And every single thing he tries to do policy-wise gets challenged in the courts, gets challenged politically, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It never ends. It never ends. Now, as a lifelong journalist, I'm grateful. I no longer have to pretend or think or guess what the president is thinking. I've always wanted to have politicians who just told us what they were really thinking, for crying out loud. And I thought that's what my colleagues wanted also. That's what they said they wanted. But apparently it's not. And Trump allegedly saying something, when he says something very openly that you don't have to allege, he'll just say it for you. And I'm going to read something that he said earlier today that's much more interesting than what he's alleged to have said by some source we don't know. Is still not as interesting as it blowed up real good. Isfahan blowed up real good last night. I mean, really good bombs. Exciting stuff. You can't make this up. And you don't show that on your television network, and you don't play the audio of that on your radio channel. What the heck is wrong with you? You are in the wrong business. I can find plenty of people in my life who can bore me and tell me something that's less interesting. I don't need to spend my time and tune into my TV and turn on my radio to have somebody bore the heck out of me. I don't need that. And the fact that these people don't understand that we are in the get your attention business and don't seem to care, that's why they're failing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you could be right-wing and still fail if that's the way that you do your business. You can be left-wing and fail, which is what they're doing. You can be one of these people who only wants to do stories that affect New York and still fail at your job. If you don't know how to make things interesting, if you don't know how to make it brief, if you don't know how to, I could have told you about this whole Isfahan thing with a 5-minute build-up, telling you where it is on the map, telling you about blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just, it's where they put a lot of their missiles underground and we blew them up. Yes, you do need to know more if you're writing a term paper about it. You do need to know more if you're going to testify before Congress about it. But if you're my listener here on the radio, I just told you enough. If you're that much more interested in it, go look it up. That's great. But I'm in the business of getting as many people interested in a story as possible. And speaking of which, when we come back, we're going to talk to the Iraqi general who fought on our side. He's known as the hero of Mosul, who is very much involved in trying to rescue this American citizen who's been kidnapped. We're going to get an update for him. That should grab your attention. I'm Jake Novak in for Roger Stone here on the Stone Zone. We're going to be right back.
This is the Stone Zone with Roger Stone.
He likes politics and he's a professional at the highest level. Roger Stone. Where's Roger?
AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
TaxAct knows every small business owner has different tax filing needs. With TaxAct, you can file yourself with the help of an expert, or TaxAct can do it all for you. You're the boss, the head honcho, the top banana. And TaxAct is like your loyal, trusty tax aide, ready to pounce on any tax needs you might have. TaxAct is dying to pounce on some small business tax needs. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Adobe Acrobat, your team's home base. Collaborate within a shared PDF space. You've got your docs, your plans, your specs, and then invite the crew to build what's next. They talk up the teamwork. Here's an updated render. They think that this design could be a contender. And when somebody wonders what's the next step, AI helps you finish the rest. Bolts are tight, now your plan's refined. Run a smoother business when you're all aligned. Do that with Acrobat. Learn more at adobe.com/do-that-with-Acrobat.
This is the Stone Zone with Roger Stone.
Roger Stone, who's a one of the smartest political minds. Roger Stone was persecuted. People forget he's actually a brilliant political analyst.
Now, get in the zone. It's the Stone Zone. Here's Roger Stone.
And I'm Jake Novak filling in for Roger Stone on this Tuesday night. Shelley Kittleson is a U.S. freelance journalist, U.S. citizen freelance journalist. I am not very familiar with her work, but I do know that she is a U.S. citizen. And I also know that she was kidnapped, grabbed up today in Baghdad or around there by what looks like a Hezbollah-aligned terrorist organization. That means they're connected to Iran. On the line right now, though, but I will tell you something. Shelley Kittleson is not without friends and not without people trying to save her. For that's really as clear as I can get. On the line with us right now is General Najim Al-Jubouri. He's known as the hero of Mosul. This is someone who fought by our side in the Persian Gulf War. And I know that English is not your first language, so we'll maybe getting some help a little bit from one of your associates. But, General, can you tell us the situation with Shelley Kittleson right now? Do we know how she is, and are we close to maybe getting her back?
حقيقة أنا عندما سمعت بالخبر على طول اتصلت بأصدقائي من كبار الضباط بالأجهزة الأمنية بالعراق وأبلغتهم خطورة هذا العمل وانعكاساته الكبيرة والوخيمة على العراق خاصة وأن هذه الفصائل اللي مرتبطة بإيران تريد تجر العراق إلى كارثة كبرى.
Immediately upon learning of Ms. Shelley Kittleson's abduction, I contacted my network of higher-ranking Iraqi officers and conveyed that this kidnapping incident does not benefit Iraq or the U.S. In fact, it may have negative consequences. And within minutes, the directive was given to mobilize the Iraqi army, which increased their search and rescue efforts across all checkpoints in the city of Hilla to prevent her from being taken across the border.
وفعلا يعني اللي افتهمته أنه قاموا بإبلاغ كافة السيطرات بتدقيق كافة السيارات وبعد فترة اللي عرفته أنه إحدى السيارات اللي كانت خاطفة الصحفية اتجهت إلى جنوب بغداد باتجاه محافظة بابل معها سيارة أخرى لم تمتثل لأوامر السيطرة وتم إطلاق النار على العجلة والعجلة أدى إلى انقلاب العجلة وبعد ذلك استطاع الخاطفون نقل الصحفية إلى سيارة الأخرى اللي كانت مرافقة لكن ما قدروا يخلون السائق وأيضا جواز السفر تم العثور عليه في السيارة.
So the outcome of this effort was that the Iraqi teams who we were able to reach out to through advisors and officers had gathered information within the hour. And these Iraqi teams were able to track her. The military subsequently stopped the kidnapper's car, were able to recover Shelley Kittelson's passport. However, she was not found, and an investigation is ongoing in northern Babel. This is an area that is located south of Baghdad. Now, within minutes, the network ascertained that her kidnappers had transferred her to Hilla in the province of Babel. At that checkpoint, close to Musayab, the Iraqi military noted a vehicle that did not cooperate, and they identified a female inside the vehicle and opened fire. The car flipped over. However, it seems that the kidnappers may have had another car, which they used to quickly transfer Shelley, but could not rescue the first driver, the kidnapper in the first car. And the Iraqi authorities have the suspect under arrest, and there is an ongoing investigation.
Go ahead. Go ahead, General.
Go ahead.
You're listening to General Najim Al-Jubouri with the help also with the translator. I'm Jake Novak in for Roger Stone here in the Stone Zone. This is the very latest. Nobody else has this. The exclusive story here on what's going on right now in the attempts to rescue a U.S. citizen. Her name is Shelley Kittleson. She's a freelance journalist working in Iraq. She was grabbed up earlier today. And tell us a little bit what you know, General, about who you think is responsible for this.
المسؤولين سيادي يعني اللي افتهمته أنه إحدى الفصائل اللي مرتبطة بإيران، يمكن على أكثر هي كتاب حزب الله اللي موجودة بالعراق، لأنه السائق منتمي إلها، يعني منتمي لهذه الفصائل. والآن التحقيق جاري. رئيس الوزراء مهتم كثيرا بالمسألة وزير الداخلية، والآن التحقيق مع السائق. والمنطقة اللي يعتقد أنه موجودة بها هي بين جنوب مدينة بغداد وشمال مدينة بابل يعني. والتفتيش جاري حاليا والتحقيق مع السائق اللي تم إلقاء القبض عليه. التحقيق جاري معه.
Through the investigative efforts of the Iraqi authorities, including the Prime Minister and the Minister of Interior, we believe that the U.S. journalist Shelley Kittleson, who was kidnapped by the Iranian-backed militia Kataib Hezbollah. This happened near the Palestine Hotel in central Baghdad.
Okay. We only have about a minute left, but I want to ask the General, what do you think the chances are that Ms. Kittleson could be rescued? We understand that we believe that is probably injured, but what do you think the chances are, and are the next several hours the most critical in trying to get her back?
أعتقد هناك جهود كبيرة جدا حاليا مستنفرة كل الأجهزة الأمنية في العراق. الجيش مستنفر والأجهزة الأمنية الداخلية والمخابرات، الكل الآن بتبحث عنها، إضافة اللي اتهمته أيضا أعضاء من أمريكا من الFBI أيضا وصلوا إلى بغداد للتحقيق بالموضوع. فأعتقد إن شاء الله ممكن أنه يطلقون المنطقة وممكن إن شاء الله أن يأثرون عليها.
God willing, yes, the chances are high because all of the Iraqi security apparatus is involved, including the FBI as well. The United States FBI is now, we just received information that they are also involved in the investigation on the ground. So we believe that the Iraqi government, the authorities are taking this very seriously, and through our connection, our network, we have full confidence that they're working very hard at this, and that we are looking forward to hearing good news regarding the situation.
General Najim Al-Jubouri, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your efforts. Again, whether you're familiar with Shelley Kittleson's work or not, this is an American citizen. This is an Iranian-backed militia that's most likely her kidnappers, perhaps trying to use her as some kind of leverage in the war. Wouldn't be a great thing by any stretch. So thank you so much for joining us, and please keep us updated at the situation. Be happy to talk to you again real soon. Thank you again, General. All right, when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, Warren Buffett, yes, he's still around, and he's still hoodwinking a lot of people in the country with his aw shucks, lovable granddad act, but I'm not one of the people he's fooling. We'll be right back with that story.
Get in the game with the college-branded Venmo debit card. Wreck your team with every tap and earn up to 5% cash back with Venmo Stash, a new rewards program from Venmo. No monthly fee, no minimum balance, just school pride and spending power. Get in the game and sign up for the Venmo debit card at venmo.com/collegecard. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. Select schools available. Venmo Stash terms and exclusions apply at venmo.me/stash terms. Max $100 cash back per month.
Hey there, it's me, John Stamos, in partnership with Cologuard. And a little birdie told me you're over 45. Listen, that's not old. It's really not. But it's an important age. If you're at average risk, that's when you start screening for colon cancer. And look, it's okay to be nervous, but it's not okay to ignore your own health. It's time to see if the Cologuard test can be an option for you to get screened. All right, I'm glad we had this little chat.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
Next up, a laughing session from The Laughing Cow. Now, unpeel a wedge of the Laughing Cow light spreadable cheese, a delicious snack with 2 grams of protein and 25 calories per wedge.
This is the Stone Zone with Roger Stone.
Roger Stone, who's a one of the smartest political minds. Roger Stone was persecuted. People forget he's actually a brilliant political analyst.
Now, get in the zone. It's the Stone Zone. Here's Roger Stone.
And I'm Jake Novak filling in for Roger Stone, having a fantastic time this evening. I really appreciate the opportunity. Warren Buffett, folks. You know, let me say something first about this, because this is important. I don't think Warren Buffett is an evil man. I'm not here to turn him into the devil incarnate. That's not my point here. But he is a normal man morally. What he is not normal at is that he's probably the greatest individual investor we've known for a long time, maybe forever. That's true. He's a brilliant person beyond the brilliance of most people. Absolutely. But when it comes to morality, he has hoodwinked this country for many, many years about what a kindly old gentleman is. And, oh, shucks, I'm just making money and trying to do what's right for this country. No, he's trying to make money for himself, and he has every right to do that. But he continues to hoodwink most of this country, the people who pay attention to this man, and he did it again this morning. Now, he had one of his many interviews he's done for years with Becky Quick, a very nice woman who works at CNBC, a former colleague of mine. And Becky has had she hasn't had the exclusive. Buffett does give interviews to other people, but nothing like he does to Becky Quick. And, the first thing you notice at Warren Buffett is looking very much like his more than 90 years age. I mean, he looked older and he was slower on the uptick, and that's to be expected. I hope, however, I'm as sharp as he is when I'm his age. So, but, that was noticeable. But Warren Buffett, who has been playing this game with the American public for a long time about how he's a billionaire and sure he's always about making more money, but he's a good guy. He wants to help the poor. He wants to help. I'm sorry. I don't see any extraordinary evidence of that. For one thing, he's actually never really given any money to charity. All of the billions that Warren Buffett finally started to give, because for a while he wasn't even doing anything remotely like charity, are donations that he's given to the Bill Gates Foundation. And he hasn't really been paying all that much attention, apparently, to what Bill Gates is doing, not only with the foundation, but what he does in his personal life. So Becky asked a question. I give her a lot of credit for this. She said, hey, with all these Epstein file revelations about Bill Gates and some of his very, very immoral activities and very questionable judgment, which is the more important part of this question, what do you think now? And we got the aw shucks answer from Warren Buffett. Listen to this. This is cut 4.
$60 billion since 2006, when you first started giving money away. The bulk of that has gone to the Bill Gates Foundation. What have you thought about all the emails in the Epstein files related to Bill Gates?
Well, I won't say what I thought about him, particularly related to Bill Gates, but I would say it's astounding me how human people are. I mean, here you had a guy that was a convicted guy, a sensational con man, and the percentage of people that he knocked off, I mean, whether it was, he found their weakness. It might be sex, it might be power, it might be whatever it might be. And I don't see how anybody could have pulled that off. And of course, all these figures think that it's going, when he dies, that they basically lied about it before. But I mean,
lied about their associations with Epstein, you mean?
Well, I mean, they've rationalized it one way or another.
I mean, Warren Buffett sounds like the moose in Wally World and National Lampoon's Vacation. Oh, sorry. I mean, honestly, come on. You've given $60 billion to this guy's foundation, and you're surprised. That's always surprised me. I mean, come on, Warren. The reason why you liked giving money to Bill Gates is because it was easy. You didn't have to investigate any charities. You didn't have to, and you actually really didn't have to part with that much money. It was money. It was just paper to you. And by the way, I'm not alone in this. Don't say, oh, mean old Jake Novak filling in for Roger Stone, going after Warren Buffett and questioning this charity. It's not just me. Just in the last couple of months, a number of other billionaires have stood up and said this whole Bill Gates, Warren Buffett charity thing is a scam. It's a great way not to give charity immediately. You know, in my religious tradition, one of the few good deeds that you do that doesn't have to come with the blessing is giving charity. The reasoning being, if you start with all the blessings and all the pomp and circumstance, you're going to delay the actual giving of the charity. Just give the darn charity and you'll get credit for it. Stop with the blessings and stop with the pomp and circumstance and the ribbon cutting and all that other nonsense. Don't do it. Just give the charity. And Warren Buffett is all about delayed gratification on that sucker. Warren Buffett is also someone who, for years, opposed the pipelines, the Keystone Pipeline, other pipelines. Why? Because is he such an environmentalist? No, because he owns the railroads that have to ship the oil if the pipelines don't exist. Again, he has every right to do that. He's trying to make a little more money, but don't cast this man as some kind of great, kindly old guy who's trying to save the environment. He's trying to save his railroad business, which, by the way, is much worse for the environment. Look up how many times there's been problems with rail hauling oil and dangerous chemicals. Remember that town in Ohio? Remember that town in Canada that completely got eviscerated and annihilated, I should say, by a train that was coming in with a bunch of oil in it, and it burned the whole town? Not to mention the other emissions. Warren Buffett's a guy who's been a big fan of boosting the inheritance tax why? Because he really wants to spread the wealth? No, because he owns businesses that allow you to get around the inheritance tax. And if the inheritance tax rates are jacked up, he's going to get more customers for his annuities and other businesses that get around the inheritance tax. I mean, please, can we not be such dopes? But Warren Buffett is still a smart guy. I didn't say he wasn't smart. I led with that. And I don't think he's an evil man. He understands how to make money. And that's why I'm also going to give him some credit. And I'm going to play you another thing he had to say in this Becky Quick interview, where he talks very, very wisely about the recent market downturn. Listen to this.
The market has come down substantially.
Not substantially.
Well, you've got both the Dow and the NASDAQ in correction territory. It's the worst performance on a quarterly basis for stocks in about 4 years. Do things look cheaper to you?
No. 3 times since I've taken over Berkshire, it's gone down more than 50%. I mean, if you look at the markets of, the worst probably was the 2007-8 period, although there was that one Monday when you had 21% in a day. I mean, this is nothing. I mean,
well, this is nothing to make you get excited and think there's huge valuation.
Well, if they're 5 or 6% cheaper, that doesn't. We aren't in it to make 5 or 6%. I mean,
I love that. The market's down 5 or 6% in the last couple of weeks, and we're not in it to make 5 or 6%. And he's really looking down his nose Rightfully so, considering his record at people who make a big deal out of these kinds of market moves. Now, I'm not whistling past the graveyard, ladies and gentlemen. We could be in for some tough times in the market. I actually think we're going to have a big jump in the market in a few weeks, starting in a few weeks. That's just my opinion. I am not a financial advisor. Please don't bet on what I just said. You do your own research, speak to your professionals. I'm just telling you what I'm predicting. But honestly, folks, this is a really good, again, proof that I'm not here to just trash Warren Buffett. I'm not. I'm just trying to give you the truth about the man. And he fools us with the all shucks thing and then got really, really honest. I mean, he was really honest there. But then we're not in it to make 5 and 6%. What do you think we are? Some kind of day trader morons? I mean, I'm the greatest investor of all time. 5 or 6%, that's peanuts. And he's right. He's right. It is peanuts. 5 or 6% and a move here and there, even for people who are not as wealthy as Warren Buffett, is nothing to get crazy about. And another thing to remember always is that take a look at the rest of the world, and I know we're all afraid of China, and I know we're all afraid of some other powers out there, but even when things are really, really ugly in the world economically, the United States always ends up being at least the prettiest horse in the glue factory. And it's usually better than that. Betting again, and this is something that Warren Buffett says all the time, and even some other people I really, really respect, always bet on America. Because if America fails financially and politically and culturally, then you're not going to need to worry about where you should have invested. You're going to need to worry about where you need to get your bomb shelter and your canned food. Because the rest of the world will not be able to survive properly without a functioning United States of America, which is why this is so important for us to take care of certain things like our major enemies. Iran has been our major enemy for a very, very long time. And to put this in Warren Buffett-like terms, for those of you who are upset at the $4 average price of gasoline right now, although here in New York it's still lower than that, for those of you who are upset about maybe some of the other things that have gone on in the market just the last couple of weeks because of the war, I want you to understand something. You have been paying through the nose much more than you have the last couple of weeks for 47 years because of Iran. I can conservatively say that the price of every barrel of oil sold since these Islamist fundamentalist morons took over Iran in 1979, I can very conservatively say that every barrel of oil that's been sold since then has been at least $3, $4, $5 more expensive than it would have been had it not been for these crazies making the markets, threatening the world, threatening the whole passage through the Strait of Hormuz, even during the so-called peaceful times. We sell millions of barrels of oil a day in this world. That's 47 years worth of 365 days worth of millions of barrels sold. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds of trillions of dollars, probably quadrillions of dollars, that we have all spent. Every country in the world, every peace-loving country in the world, every oil-buying country in the world has already shelled out more than you can even imagine because of Iran and the threat and the premium that they put on every barrel of oil, because you've got to pay the producers and the people who ship it a little bit of a premium because they have to get so close to Iran all the time. If I'm calling DoorDash and saying, I need you to get me those really good hamburgers from the most dangerous neighborhood in the world, I'm expecting to have to pay a little bit more for that premium. Imagine doing that for 47 years and then having to pay just a little bit more than that for a few weeks so that from now on you don't have to pay that premium. I wish I could come up with a better analogy than that, although I thought it was pretty darn good. Plus, I'm really hungry for a hamburger, so that's what's going on in my mind. I had an economics professor when I went to college, and I stupidly took the class right before lunchtime. And for some reason, this economics professor used hamburgers as every example of a goods every time she was giving us economic models. I wanted to wring her neck. Can you please do something other than food right before lunch? So I'm sorry if I made you hungry, but you get the point here, folks. We are paying through the nose for many, many years for Iran. And I'm not even getting into the military spending and the taxes there. I'm not even getting into the prices of our airline tickets that go up higher for security reasons. Iran is the reason for all the stuff we've been paying for decades and decades. Don't you get it? If we get them off the table, we could relieve ourselves from these costs that we've been paying for almost half a century. Don't you understand? I think many Americans do. I think most Americans do when they're explained this clearly, but sometimes they're not, or when they get a chance to see all the facts. But that's really what's going on here. That is really what's going on here. All right, when we come back here on the Stone Zone, I want to play you some sound having to do with the Iran war, some very smart words, similar to what I just said. Don't just take my word for it. How about someone who's one of the titans of Wall Street right now? Jamie Dimon's going to explain it to you even better, I think. And we're also going to talk about an outrage in the city of Providence, Rhode Island. We'll be right back.
This is the Stone Zone with Roger Stone.
He likes politics and he's a professional at the highest level. Roger Stone. Where's Roger?
Ninja One understands that IT teams today are stretched thin, trying to manage too many disconnected tools. So they built a platform that brings them all together. Ninja One unifies endpoint management, autonomous patching, backup, and remote access into a single intelligent platform. That means fewer tools, lower costs, higher efficiency, and a team that has the bandwidth and confidence to stay ahead. Unify IT to simplify work with Ninja One. Learn more at ninjaone.com.
Picture this. Me, Reese Witherspoon, in London, ordering fish and chips so often they might start wrapping me in paper. I'm traveling with my Wells Fargo Autograph Journey card, so I earn rewards wherever I book travel. 5 times points with hotels, 4 times with airlines, 3 times on restaurants and other travel, and 1 point on other purchases. Imagine getting rewarded for eating a toad in the hole. Wait, what is a toad in a hole?
Visit wellsfargo.com/autograph journey. Terms apply.
At IKEA, your dreams can come true. Well, maybe not the ones where you're being chased by a monster. We're talking about kitchen dreams. And there are IKEA products and solutions for all of them. Whether it's a whole new kitchen, a statement glassware set, or just new cutlery. If you got big dreams or small dreams in any size of budget, IKEA can help you bring them to life. Visit IKEA.us/dreamkitchen to learn more. Dream the possibility.
Wow! A Lego set is a gift that always clicks. And clicks. Watch out! And clicks. For kids who love adventure, choose a Lego set. A gift that always clicks.
This is the Stone Zone with Roger Stone.
It is a great, great person, Roger Stone.
The Stone Zone.
I'm Jake Novak, filling in for Roger Stone. You know, I just talked about why we need to understand that these temporary extra costs that we're paying for Iran are a pittance compared to what we've been paying for 47 years. But don't take my word for it. Jamie Dimon is the CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase. He's considered the most brilliant mind on Wall Street right now. Here he is explaining it even better than I did. Listen to this.
I think the market, look, the markets are unpredictable, and it's hard for me to tell you exactly what. But I think they're just looking at, is there a chance something can go wrong? Now, we should all hope nothing goes wrong. We should all hope that these bad people are, that we win this thing and clean up the straits, and that Iran is no longer a threat to everybody. And but the markets will be concerned until it's over. But I think it's very important. It's much more important that this be successfully completed than what the market does.
And that sounds like what the UAE and Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states are saying.
Yeah.
Finish this off the right way. They see the urgency here.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yes. I hear some people say, they weren't an imminent threat. A threat means I'm threatening you. I might do something bad. These people have been doing something bad for 47 years. They've been killing people. They've been killing Americans. They funded that terrible Hamas thing. Several Americans were killed on October 7th. And so they've had proxy wars. They've been threatening people. I think people are surprised to find out that had a ballistic missile and go 3,000 miles. These are bad people, and they needed to be stopped. And just
yeah, folks, they've been killing people for 47 years, but they've been also making us pay for 47 years. We've been paying more for oil for 47 years. Even when oil goes down, it's still, there's a basement price that's built in because of the dangers of carrying oil and being in the oil business, because there's a couple of terrorist countries, now just one really, that makes this oil, that brings this oil, that produces it, that also threatens the shipping of it. We've been paying extra for our plane tickets, paying with our time at security lines. I mean, we've already been paying, and paying a lot more than we're paying right now. That's Jamie Dimon saying it just as well as I did, maybe better, and that's fine. You know, the other narrative that we've been hearing a lot is this ridiculous narrative that President Trump was led down a primrose path by Israel and the Jews, telling him to go and get involved in the Iran war, and otherwise he never would have done this. Well, I want to play a soundbite from Donald Trump doing an interview with Barbara Walters back in 1987. Boy, it looks like he really sounds like a guy who never really thought of Iran until a few months ago. Listen to this.
But as far as Trump is concerned, our allies are only part of the problem. The real culprit is Iran.
Why couldn't we go in and take over some of their oil, which is along the sea?
How would you do that? Would you send in the Marines? Would you take a chance in a war?
Let them have Iran. You take their oil. That's what
How?
How?
I mean, do we want a war? What do you mean we take their oil?
You go in.
How do we go in?
You're going to have a war by being weak.
Okay, how do we go in? What do we do?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You're going to have a war, and it's going to start in the Middle East.
What if the Soviet Union said, you do this to Iran, we're going to come in?
I don't believe they'd do it. The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations, and I mean grab it and keep it, and get back your losses, because this country has lost plenty because of Iran.
Yeah. Boy, that's Donald Trump in 1987, but he needed Bibi Netanyahu and some really crafty Jews to tell him about what's going on. The guy knew about the situation in Iran better than any of you did. I mean, come on already. Stop with this nonsense. It's so old, too. Can you get something original? If you want to do something original, I don't know, talk about AI or something. It's just really getting frustrating. Well, also frustrating is the incredible alternative reality so many elected officials are living in this country when it comes to basic common sense. Common sense is a big thing for me and for a lot of other people. And as you know, several months ago, we had a Ukrainian immigrant, Irina Zarutska, who was killed on a commuter train in Charlotte, North Carolina, not by an illegal immigrant, but by someone who had many arrests, who really shouldn't have been on the street. And she was killed, and it was all in a very gruesome way, but thankfully for the evidence, it was all caught on tape. And now in Providence, Rhode Island, to memorialize this woman, a number of wealthy people have helped sponsor a full-size mural of Irina Zarutska. Well, here's what a state representative from Providence, Rhode Island, David Morales, has to say about that mural. This is Cut 6.
Ultimately, we want to make sure that every community member that calls Providence home feels safe. And we can both agree that this mural behind us does not reflect Providence's values, nor does it reflect the creativity that we want to see in our city.
Providence's, what values? Are you valuing a repeat offender person who was out on the streets and killed an innocent person? Wouldn't that be, I thought Providence's values were to welcome immigrants. Well, here's an immigrant who came to this country and got killed because of a municipality that didn't respect her decency, didn't respect her rights. What? I mean, this is such an upside-down world. It doesn't reflect our values if we want to memorialize a victim of a senseless crime and maybe learn something from that. And, you know, the journalist listening just takes it in. Yeah, whatever you say, blah, blah, blah. What do you mean that doesn't represent our values? You know, when there's no pushback from the news media about things like this, people start saying crazier things. Read about it in the book 1984, George Orwell. Eventually, they're going to tell us 2 + 2 is 5, and when there's no journalist to push back on that live and in person, they'll move on to other things. I'm Jake Novak. I've been filling in for Roger Stone this evening on the Stone Zone. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope I was able to inform you a little bit. Hey, take this information and use it in your online debates. See you soon.